What if you never got a chance at a normal life? For Lauren Dobsky, unspeakable sexual abuse at the hands of a substitute teacher while she was only in grade 2 marked the end of her innocence and began a new story, full of confusion, pain, and suffering.
I felt like it was something that I did that was wrong, which was most likely the reason why I didn't feel I should share it. That was when I really started to isolate myself away from people.
A young girl doesn't know how to process or explain sexual abuse, and a young girl shouldn't have to. Lauren's response was to stop trusting everyone, which led to her acting out.
I was a lot of times hard to deal with. My parents and people in my life wanted me to be somebody other than who I was.
In her teens, the only thing positive in Lauren's eyes was the attention she received from boys, but it was the wrong kind of attention.
I did have only a couple close friends. I got into drugs and alcohol. I ended up getting pregnant very early. I was in grade 9. Honestly, I got scared that I was unable to be the kind of mother that I felt my son deserved. And so I called my parents, let them know that I had made the decision to go ahead with the adoption.
Lauren left home at 18, only to find herself back where she started when she discovered she was pregnant again. She wanted a stable life, but inside, she was anything but stable.
Life just started to get very heavy for me. I started to feel like I couldn't do it. And so I went back to drugs.
All Lauren wanted was a normal life, but her normal was masked by constant drug abuse, which eliminated her ability to care for her new baby boy.
I left Braden with his dad. And that made it really hard because I felt like I was a failure. I had all these people who had all these expectations of who and what I was supposed to be, and I wasn't meeting those expectations. The thing that really destroyed my family and my life was when I started using crack cocaine.
Her habit quickly became addiction and led Lauren to the streets. Desperate to afford the next high, Lauren entered into the dark world of prostitution and ended up in a relationship that was emotionally and physically abusive. And to make matters worse, Lauren was pregnant again.
I believe I was about 5 months pregnant. I was using up until that point.
The birth of Elijah caused Lauren to seek help for her addiction. But sobriety was brief, and her addiction consumed her.
I used to leave my son in the apartment when he was sleeping, and I would run to the dope house and then come back. That's when it started to get bad again. Addiction is so crazy how we think we can hide it and kind of be two people.
Lauren lived in denial, not able to face the sobering truth of her addiction, and that led to her son being taken from her. Instead of seeking help, she plunged deeper into addiction. 18 months later, while she was still using, baby Isaiah was born.
At that time, I didn't know who the father was. I was very heavily into my addiction. I used to use with Isaiah, and I remember I used to pray every time, and I used to say, God, please don't let my child carry the burden of my mistakes. And I used to just say that over and over again. When I used, I could tell that he was high. That was a big point for me when I realized something is really wrong, because I didn't want to be using, because I knew that I was hurting him, and I couldn't stop.
Realizing what her addiction was doing to her unborn child finally scared Lauren into getting some help. But it never seemed to last. Until one day, authorities came with an ultimatum. Get help or never see your children again. That got her attention.
I was clean off my drug of choice for almost 5 years. I would put on a mask for everybody because I was afraid that people could see that I couldn't do it. And that was very dangerous, that I wasn't able to be honest about the things that were going on. I would go and buy wine and wait for the kids to fall asleep, and I would drink.
5 years clean of the crack addiction came to a sudden halt when the alcohol drove her back to the brink.
I was drunk one day, and it was like, I'm gonna go smoke some crack. I couldn't believe that I had made the decisions that I had made and that I had found myself back at this place. I mean, I worked really hard to get back my life, to get back my children and my family, and I threw it all away. I was on a path of destruction after that, just no care in the world. I stopped dead in my tracks and started running as fast as I could in the opposite direction. I went back to prostitution quickly because it was easy for me to be able to use dope. That's what I needed more than ever because I just could not stand to be in my own skin.
Lauren had spent her lifetime unable to trust anyone, so with no one to turn to, she cried out to God.
It was a moment where I had realized that I was completely defeated, and I was praying to God, saying if I could have done it again, I would have done it differently. I always felt as if I was wounded before my race really, truly began. I was at home in my apartment, and the Windsor Life Centre came into my mind.
Windsor Life Centre is a Christian-based drug and alcohol treatment center devoted to the care and recovery of women. For Lauren, it was an opportunity to finally start over again.
When I first came to the center, I did not have any fight in me. And when I learned about Jesus, that honestly gave me the strength to get up every day and fight because of who I was to him, who he seen me as, and that he loves me just as much now as he did then. And that's never changed. And I have to share it because this is one that always comes up for me, and I repeat it often to myself in Deuteronomy. Be strong and of good courage. Do not fear nor be afraid. The Lord God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. And that brings me so much peace. And absolutely everything that I experience today, is that I'm not alone, that he has not left me, that I am lovable, and that no matter what, he's going to see me through it.